The deadline between Canada and the US to make a trade deal by August 1st has officially passed, meaning all goods going forward from Canada to the US will be hit with a 35% tariff. These are one of the highest tariffs that the US has imposed on any country. What makes it worse is that Canada is so dependent on the US that 75% of all goods from Canada are exported to them, making us heavily dependent. This can have devastating consequences for people like you and me who live in Canada, as it makes Canadian goods more expensive, takes longer to process through US customs, which would reduce demand for Canadian goods and hence leading to job losses. Does this mean that Canada will be affected with a worse recession, leading to huge job losses and collapsing the entire economy? Or instead, will these tariffs actually increase inflation in the US, making things more expensive for Americans? This is what most people believe and is widely reported by major news outlets in both countries. But what if I told you that Canada isn't being tariffed 35% on all goods that are being exported, but the actual impact of tariffs is a lot lower? In fact, it's one of the lowest tariffs of any other country, ranging anywhere between 5 to 10%. So let's understand what's the truth behind it. Washington states that all Canadian goods coming into the US can be duty-free if and only if the exporter is able to prove that the product was made in North America under USMCA rules. This means the vast majority of raw materials and labor should be sourced from North America. 35% tariff is only applicable if they're not able to prove this metric. So how many companies are actually USMCA compliant? Various estimates say that 90% of all companies and exporters are USMCA compliant, and those that aren't compliant are in the process of becoming compliant. But the remaining 10%, irrespective of whether they're USMCA compliant or not, will still be hit with a 35% tariff. These include raw steel, aluminum, softwood lumber, and a few farm products, which will be tariffed at 35%. Now, those towns and cities that are dependent on these industries will definitely feel the impact. But the Canadian government is rolling out a lot of programs and support structures to help these industries specifically. So, if the situation really isn't so bad, why are politicians from both countries making a big deal out of it? What you need to understand is that politicians from both countries find this whole tariff rhetoric very useful for their base. It creates for great news, where the Americans can claim that they're finally winning over unfair trade practices, and Canadian politicians can claim that they are protecting Canadian workers' rights.